Hello everybody, and welcome to another chess video. Today I have the Liga High Elo tournaments. Now this video will get uploaded literally 7 in the morning when I am currently at school. That video will be uploaded before that happens. So before we begin, this is the High Elo. This is people that are above 1700 and know their stuff. They actually know their theory, they know their tactics, they've sharpened their brains and stuff like that. And now, folks, I remember I gave you a promise to not show you too many blunders. I did. Sort of. Because let me tell you right now, this shit was more fun than low elo. I'm gonna be honest with you. You're gonna learn, you're gonna laugh, cry, and most importantly, have a good time. Now, again, Red SMP video, that is also coming eventually. And actually, chess lessons will also be coming up based on my experience, based of whatever I've learned about the chess so far. And yeah, and I will most likely continue with the high elo and the low elo, and then my turn. My turn is actually next in the mid elo bracket, and yeah, we will see. I hope you enjoy this video and subscribe, join my Discord, link in the description. I will see you guys next video. I'm saying this part early so I don't have to like do that later. But I probably will because I'm very forgetful. Let's get to the video. Okay, let's begin with the first game. So we have knight f3, knight c6, d4, d5, c4, bishop g4, and e3. We have a queen's gambit decline transposition and the main line of the Chigorin. We have e6. Now this is a classic queen's gambit decline. However, we've got in a transposition, like I said, knight c3, knight f6, bishop e2, bishop takes f3, and bishop takes f3, bishop b4. That's the little position here by the black side. C takes d5, bishop takes c3 check in between move, b takes c3, and knight takes d5. Okay, so I guess it's plus 1.6, but it's because the pawn is just hanging, the knight is a little active, and I have c4 here. Knight just dips away from the position. Castles, rook b1 and rook b8. Very passive defense here by black. Bishop a3, okay, put some pressure on this pinned knight. Rook e8, unpins the knight, and queen c2. So white maintains an advantage because of the overwhelming space and the fact that the bishop are just snipers and the position is very open. B6, which is very weakening according to the engine. You don't really have to play b6 if you don't have to. In this case, it is one of them. In example here, you can just play like move your queen here and or just play h6 here. Honestly, just you don't have to play b6, but you're allowed to do anything you want. Rook f to d1, a little bit possibly preparing bishop b2, e4, and d5 in the future. Queen c2 and e4 right away. This gives away a lot of advantage because of this move, which is very I don't know what the heck it does. You just push here, and I guess the engine will argue the fact that this outpost is very good, and then you can reinforce it. And if I'm peasant, then you could just take with the queen, and you're not even worse anymore, apparently. Because the split nature of the pawns, like there's a split A pawn, a split C pawn, and black has a connected pass pawn. I'm sorry, has a queen side majority, and he can try to like put some pressure on the isolated pawns. But after e4 we have queen a6 here, attacks the bishop, not a bad move. And the bishop just, takes the knight. Knight takes e7, d5, e takes d5, c takes d5, knight g6, and bishop e2. Attacks the queen. There's a little bit of a crisscross applesauce here. And queen a5. Well, this pawn is hanging, but I guess you can say it's a poison pawn because of the activity that black gets. But then again, you're just gonna stay here, and you're just gonna be a permanent nightmare for black, and it's not the greatest. But bishop b5 instead attacks the rook, which is not a terrible move. Rook e to d8 and bishop c6, just, having that nice little bishop here anchoring the pawns. Knight e5 tries to get rid of the bishop, and rook b5, danger levels. Queen a3 and rook b3. Okay, so now queen a5. No repetition, we have f4, and now this is where the game begins to equalize. Because knight takes c6 is very good because, according to this, you take with the queen, and after queen takes a2, then, the position is just equal because black is no longer down a pawn. I'm sorry, black is up a pawn and has 3 connected passed pawns. And it's going to be a nightmare to deal with. However, maybe black is going to find a way to make some counterplay. Rook b to d3 and rook b to c8. This is a good start, you could say. D6 though. C takes d6. And unfortunately, our friend here blunders. Rook takes d6. And you sacrifice the queen because if you take this queen, then white is going to go, oh no, my queen, call an ambulance, but not for me. And you're going to lose the back rank checkmate. This is a mini lesson for y'all. If you're worried about your back rank, h6. That's why a long time ago, b6 here, for example, did not make a whole lot of sense. I don't know why you want to weaken your knight a little bit here. That's why in this case, you should have played a nice little h6 here, to never have to worry about getting mated. But instead, they're 2000, so they're not gonna, hang a mate like that. So h5 instead. We have takes, and, he hung a rook, but it's better than getting mated. Rook d1, and the rest is a game that is just cleanup. It's just cleanup, and it is going to be mate there. Well, no mate, it's just going to be a clean conversion of the endgame, hunt down the pawns, cut off the king, lock the pawn structure so black has 0 counterplay. You cut the king off, you zigzag a little bit, and you mate. Okay, so that was a good game. Now let's go to the next game, and we'll continue, I guess. Alright, second game. I forgot to say the previous guys were like 1700. Anyways, these are gonna be 2000s. Or are they? You'll see. D4, D5, Bishop F4 have a London system, but then quickly turns to a Jababa London. Now, the Jababa London is, main whole idea is to put pressure on this little pawn, and if you fail for the Jababa London, the way you can, counter this is to not play knight c6, for example, just, develop normally. Go play a copy London and try to make them play this move. Oh, not now. Try to make them play this move, which you'll use to your advantage. But we have knight c6 instead, and we fall for the Jabava London. And now we have e5, you're forced to, sack a pawn. D takes e5, knight h5, you counterattack the bishop, e3. And knight takes a4, e takes a4. And even though white is up a pawn, the pawns are a little split and could be a problem in the future. And also that knight looks a little stupid, so we kick it away. Alright, knight d4. Knight takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop f5, and long castles by white. Okay, so this move puts the king to safety and also, attacks the pawn because you have more pieces. c6, not a bad move, defends the pawn, bishop e2. And now queen a5 comes in, attacks the pawn, king b1, defend that. And now the position is -6 because of the move bishop c5. And what does bishop c5 do after queen d2? Well, you will trade your queens, and you will win a pawn. But then there's going to be some complications along the line with, bishop takes a6, that's could be a little complicated. Now we have bishop e3. The correct move here was apparently this move, which I have no fucking clue what it does. It's basically the same thing. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. If you go look at these engine lines, it's literally the exact same thing. I don't understand why this is slightly better. Bishop e3. And now we have this move, which is top engine move, and you create enough complications for white and black. But eventually, black will take this pawn, they will develop their knights, and then you'll go here, chop off this knight, and you will win another pawn. Congrats. And after this move, you just go back. Actually, here the move here is not the most terrible thing in the world. You just get, yes, you give this check, but if you defend everything, you're fine. Actually, here, the reason why he didn't defend his pawn is if you take, you actually lose a rook. So, yeah, so that's that. He moves his rook up, now the pawn is threatened. But now, if you take, you first of all you can play this, but there's also another move. This is the exact same way that Bobby Fischer got his bishop trap. He took a free pawn in like a very equal endgame, which was setting for a draw, and then lost his bishop like that for 3 pawns, I believe, or 2 pawns, I don't remember. He could have had winning chances, but in this case, there's no winning chances. Now, I don't know the reason why b3 is played here. After king e6, b3, the pawn is just hanging. We defend the pawn. Rook g2 attacks the thing. Bishop takes e5. We defend and take. Rook g5. And unfortunately, rook to h8 and bishop f5 check is a blunder because of this fork. And white resigns, because you will just lose material and most likely the endgame. As you can see here, the engine is like sack the rook and like, I don't know, go do something with your life. And now it is time to reveal the elo of the players. 1400 and 2000. Now 1400, I mean the guy's just higher at leeches. He's 1700 in leeches or 1800. He managed to compete because of, 1800 leeches or something like that. I don't remember. And yeah, that was a fast game, but there is more to come. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Alright, so for the next game, we are going to be having a Rui Lopez, the mainline Morphy defense, which is Bishop A4 instead. Now, most people just, take the knight and obviously argue that, they will be playing some mainline here, but apparently no. We go for A6, Bishop A4, B5, Bishop B3. That has all been played before. Knight F6, castles, D6, C3, Bishop B7. The reason why this is called... It's supposed to be called the Berlin defense, but it's not called the Berlin defense. Now it's the Columbus variation. I think like the Berlin defense is like, after all this has been played, this is the Berlin defense. Yeah, this is the Berlin defense, and then there's the Berlin endgame. No, this is the Berlin gambit. And then, there's this, and then you go for the Berlin endgame, which I forgot how it's played. Anyway, Bishop A4, and, castles, and D6 and C3, Bishop E7, Rook E1. This has all probably been played before. Castles, H3. Okay, just when you don't have anything else to do, just, play H3 and never have to worry about your back rank ever again. Knight A5 attacks the bishop, bishop C2. That was the point of C3 all along. C5. Okay, so C5 is, first of all, grab space. Second of all, it might be a little weak because of the backward spawn created on D6, but it's well defended, so it doesn't quite matter. D4. Queen c7, knight bd2, and bishop d7. Okay, so far this position is extremely equal, because the players are like over 2,000. Knight f1, this is a reroute. You're trying to find a better square for this knight, because your current squares are trash. Rook f to c8 prepares this trap. Let's say you try to do this, then there's this, and if you take, you actually... I guess black is like equalized, but let's say you don't go your knight here. Let's say you go here. Now this is very strong because you can't quite take because, that will just hang a bishop. So instead we have d5 locking up everything. That's probably, that's the top engine move, but it's like, it's probably up there. Sorry about my neck. My neck? Is that neck or is it like throat? I think it's throat. d5, knight c4, and b3. Okay, b3, not a bad move. Just attacks the knight. Knight b6, but I'm pretty sure white wanted to trigger b3 to like weaken and soften up the structure, because it's not terrible to like soften up the structure of white. Knight b6, knight g3. Okay, some reroutes. So far the position is extremely balanced and equal compared to the last two games. a5. All right, now this is a feisty move. You're trying to go for b4 here. Bishop e3, a4 instead though. Now the plan has been switched, and queen e2 and b4. Alright, so black is trying to crash through. c4 blocks the entire position, takes and takes. And now we have rook a3, which is the mistake. The point is that let's say if white takes, then black takes, then the supposed pass pawn that black has is very easily stopped because of, the bishop coming back, and then if you try to push, then could be very much of a weakness for white. But if you play this with perfect play, and you go here, for example, and then you try to reinforce the pawn, then you will just blockade the pawn, and then there will be like nothing for black here. But that didn't happen. So instead we had knight h2, which is insane compared to, captures the rook and blockades the pawn. Pretty much. I mean, this is just a good. This is better for white, but no. Knight h2, rook a to c8, and rook a to b1, moving away from the file. I don't know why you do that. And also you got a pin, so you move your queen. And in this position, our black played knight e8, which is trying to find a way to reroute this knight. I guess the future move will be something with the queen to put the knight on c7, but so far it looks like a wasted tempo move. Knight f5, though, this could backfire because of, after bishop takes and pawn takes, your pawns are a little split, and you don't want that. F6, though, blocks the entire attack of white, but also, blunders this move, which, if you paid me hundreds of dollars, I wouldn't explain to you what it does. I'm going to be honest with you completely. The point is, let's say black goes back, and then you will try to find a better square for this knight. For example, let's say it goes here. You will go here, and the whole point is you've given like white this very strong square, and you will use that to put pressure on your pawns. That didn't happen, but instead we have f4, which is debatable to be bad, but it's a very good move. Like, some people are gonna be like, "Why did you not play the knight reroute?" Well, this move just looked a little better in the guy's eyes. And plus, you're trying to get rid of your double pawns. Don't forget, white has double pawns, which could be a weakness. Okay? So knight d7, knight f3. And you're going to be like, oh my god, lose the fork. No, you lose a pawn. Bishop f8 instead. I have no clue what this does. The point is he's going to try to fianchetto his bishop, most likely, because you wouldn't want to get a bishop to, like, hog the king. And this is exactly what happens after takes, and takes. We have rook c1, knight here, queen here. The rooks double up here. But unfortunately, white blunders. You should not have pinned yourself. You should have gone a little more actively. Try and create some more counterplay. But no, you pinned yourself. And now, knight takes c4 is the brilliancy. Because after you take back, then you will fork. And apparently here it says white should sacrifice his rook. Because after that, then boom, boom. And was that it? Yeah, that's the end game. Apparently, this is going to be the end game, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how you're going to win this with white. But instead, he hunks his queen, and a couple moves later, black breaks through the position, tries to control the pawn, but eventually, he will get mated. There's nothing you can do. You're just mated, okay? This is just game over. You have to go here, and you will just create this unstoppable mate threat, and you will just, you'll just win. I mean, it's over. Alright, that was the third game. These were the ratings of the players. That was an amazing game. Now let's go to the next game. Okay, so we are on the next game. You can see from the time it has been quite a while. It's because I sat down and watched like 14 games, so here we go. B3, E5, we have a Nimzowitz Larsen. Now, generally, if you get hit with a B3, I recommend starting with D5, because after this move, you can play C5, and, you can do your normal developing stuff, like getting your knight out, and then going here, and then if they go aggressively, then you can put 4 pawns in the center, it doesn't quite matter. But with E5, and we have this nice little thing here. Actually, here, white wins a pawn. But in exchange for that, black will try to instigate on this bishop, and because this bishop is dancing around, he'll try to get some faster development. We have queen f6 and d4. Before bishop, I'm sorry, bishop b4 check. And not c3, but knight d2, which I have no clue, which is promptly taken. Oh, never mind, it's not taken. Bishop c3, rook c1. Castles, 92, bishop g4, f3, rook takes f3, and now there is problems because he sacrifices the bishop, which I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think it works. But Nielsen here says it works, but after this you need to take, and after you take back, then you will take this bishop, sacrifice the rook, and then you will move, and then you will trade queens, And at the end of the day, then the material count is 2 pieces for a rook, and white will pretty much dominate the entire game. Uh, but instead, with after bishop takes f3, we have castles because white got a little scared of that move, and then we have bishop takes, and queen moves out of the way. We have queen take. I'm sorry, queen d3. The bishop moves, and now you can say this bishop's kind of isolated. So we have c3 and rook a to e1. Then we rook defense, and then we get a nice little knight reroute. Not the worst thing in the world. E4, knight g6, h3. That's not really the best moment in the world to play h3, but sure, it was plus 2.5 because of this move. It is a discovered attack on a queen, and you need to take. And after that, you can take, and then go here. And the engine argues for advantage because after you, like, let's say you move your thing away, you're gonna lose a bishop, and you need to counterattack, which I think you can sack. You can do this, yeah, and if they, yeah, and you can sack. Wait, that's not a sack. That's a rook blunder. But you can play this. But the top engine move is this. This is really hard to ignore. Anyway, I have h3 instead. Queen c6 and b4. Bishop b6. The pawn locks down the structure, but now the rook will dance around a little bit. King h1 for absolute zero reason, and the rook's double, and mate is threatened here, so you promptly defend that. Take, and now you can take, and he doesn't take. Instead, opts the double up, blocks the attack of the rocks. Knight goes here, takes, and then knight goes here, and then we slide the queen, takes, and then unfortunately we this did not get spotted. This would have been a really nice little move, because you can try to instigate on the fact that black is trying to. This is not the move though, but this is the move actually. And if you don't do anything actually, and you like start attacking things can get really ugly, because white will try to bring the queen around. So you need to be really careful when your king is wide open. With a4 instead, and c6, knight f3, bishop 7, queen e3, queen g3, and now black is threatening to sacrifice his rook. Let's say you play something random. This is not a free. This is not a knight that is defended, because if you take, you're actually mated in one. So instead, we have queen check. King moves out of the way and hangs the queen in one. Okay, so that wasn't the move. Well, you could take this and get mated in two, which is funny. I tricked you. I made you think that he blundered his queen, but I tricked you. Instead of that, he takes the rook and then takes the queen, which ultimately would end the game on the spot. And that's how the game ended, and this is the rating of the two players. It was a decent attempt, but yeah, let's go to the next game. Okay, so let's go to the next game. Alright, so we have a classic Italian, Gioco Piano. Now, if you want to play the Italian as white, I recommend playing the move c3. If they don't instigate immediately with knight f6, then you can just, let's say they play, I don't know, something like this, then you can already play something like this, and then takes, and then you take, and then you need to retreat. But if they do in fact play knight f6 here, then I recommend playing queen c2 for the lower players. This is a really nice way to come back against the with the Italian. The point is, you're trying to push for the center. Let's say black castles here. The whole idea is to put some more pressure onto the center. Now, if they do last set in the center, then of course you're gonna have to punish that. But if they do this, then you're gonna go here, and again they might try to develop. Then you will try to instigate on the center, takes, and this bishop is in for a fun time. You can block this in a couple of ways if you want, but this is the whole point. But try not to lose your pawns. Anyway, that doesn't happen. We have knight f6 d3. Oh god, my thing hurts. D6, my thing. I mean, like my head, because I had some migraines earlier, and I sat like 6 hours with my phone watching games. Anyway, D6, B4, Bishop B6, and a couple moves later we have the following position. Okay, so Black has pretty much cleared up the fact that he's gonna go queenside. White is most likely gonna go kingside. After a couple moves later, here it was a nice little instructive moment. Tries to do something, bring his knight to the game. You put some pressure on this knight. The point is, if they can't really retreat anywhere. If they retreat, which is wrong, you're just gonna take this, and you'll just win the pawn. And now, because they took and you took, I mean, the better move was to take like this, which I have no way to explain. You take like this, and queen c2, knight h5 attacks the bishop, not a bad move. Bishop h2, f5, bishop d5. Again, not a bad move. Queen g7, b5, and this horse is attacked a couple of times, so it has to move, but it doesn't move actually. Bishop takes f3, it's a nice idea. G takes f3 though, and queen g2, and now there's danger levels, long castles, and knight a5, and now the position is +2 because of the incredible bishop takes bishop takes e5. The whole point is, after you take, then you will just win the horse back. You're up a pawn now. Congratulations. Long castles from black as well. Rook takes f5. You're just going to win a couple pawns. Queen takes f2. Rook takes e5. And queen takes f3. And black resigned because, as you didn't notice, that queen is hanging a little bit, you know? Yeah. Anyway, let's go to the next game. Did the thing start recording? Oh, the thing started recording? Okay. The thing started recording. Okay, I was like for a second it didn't record. Anyway, we have an Anglo-Dutch defense. This is basically the English, and the response was the Dutch defense. Knight f6, knight c3. We have the following position after a couple of moves of play. This is all theory, I believe. Takes. Okay, I guess these pawns might be a little weak, but actually they could be assets in the future. It's not really too much of a weakness. In fact, you can just push those pawns, support the center. D6, queen c2, and knight b7, rook e1. And a couple of moves later, we have this following position. White and black have both traded their most powerful bishops of the game, but it's fine. F4. Now, this is a little complicated now. If you, let's say you ignore this, actually, you can just ignore this. It doesn't quite matter. Let's say you just keep developing. Then black will try to play around that and try to create some threats, like mate, for example. And you need to, place your knight in the spot, and then take. If you take with the f pawn, actually, you hang a fork. So you need to take with the h pawn, which could be dangerous, but it doesn't lose you on the spot. Now, what you really don't want to do is open up your king for absolutely no reason. And this is bad because of the move knight c4. And knight c4, I mean, actually, the engine prefers knight h5 more, but it pretty much is the same thing. The point is you're opening up the king. Knight c4, and h3 tries to kick away the knight. Queen h4. There's a mate you need to defend, so knight e4 and d5. Okay, so now this confidently and evidently hangs something. C takes d5, e takes d5, and knight c3. It didn't hang anything, but it damn well did stop an attack. Knight h6 and queen b3. Now the computer really likes e4 here. Just shred everything open, like just get this nice little pawns and try to instigate. But okay, queen b3, not a bad move. Pins the pawn. I completely understand it. c6, c4 undermine. Knight c5, and we have queen c2, d4 a4, rook f6, e3. D takes e3, bishop takes e3, knight e6, and a5, and we have knight takes f4 check. The whole point of this is after black takes, then you will just take like this. You've won the pawn. Congratulations. But there is quite a bit of a problem going on the queen side because of a takes b6, and you can't recapture because you will just lose your rook. And so, rook a to f8. This looks really dangerous for white, But you can just take this. And if they take like this, they lose a rook confidently. Oh, never mind. They don't lose a rook, but they will probably most likely lose the game. Instead, they check like this, which pretty much is the same thing. And then after c5, we have queen e2, queen a8. You gotta still defend this pawn. Queen e4, rook c6, and queen d5 check. And oh my god, king h8, knight e4, knight f5. The whole point is that you're just gonna win this pawn, but it's not about the pawn. It's rook e to b1, trying to get the queen. Knight h4 threatens nothing, pretty much. Rook b8, and you're getting that pawn through. Rook g6 check, the king. I'm sorry, the knight moves and blocks the check. This is the only way to give another check, but then you'll just move away. And apparently the engine is like sack the knight, but then you will just take this, and it's kind of over, I feel like. And oh, knight g3, rook takes b8, and you promote to this. It would have been really fun if you promoted to a horse, but then that would just hang this, unfortunately. So, but she should have promoted to a rook or something. That would be way funnier. Anyway, we have queen here, and you win the queen. And after all this, now how can you possibly lose this game? Oof. How can you possibly lose this game? I really wonder. Oh man. Oh man, that is the cruelty that chess has bestowed upon us. Let's go to the next game. I'm most likely the final one, because I don't want to see anything else. I'm going to be real honest with you. I've seen a lot of games today. Most of them were really good, but some of them were really bad. But not the way you think, but whatever. Alright, let's continue. So, in the next game, we have, I think it was a 2100 against 1700. In the previous game, it was a 1700 against a 2200, actually, which is insane. If you don't believe me, then, just go to the Discord server and check that yourself. Go to the Loyal Safe Space and check that yourself. I don't really care. Anyway, we have e4, c5. Okay, we have silly defense. Now we have a good old fashioned Knight of Sicilian. One of the Sicilians that I have taken up and I have started studying. And let me tell you right now, it is a lot of theory. We have the Bishop g5 variation. This is one of the most common variations to play against the Knight Nerf. Now you want to play here e6, try to get this nice little center going. And after that, you go Bishop e7 to unpin the knight. And then after castles, there's Rook e1. And you go Queen c7 here. This is, in almost all Sicilians, the c file can be used for attacks or to dominate the opponent. Rook e3 and knight b d7, really common to Sicilian to play this. Rook h3, rook d8, and e5 here takes bishop takes h7 check though. Here, this is a really common sacrifice in this Sicilian. In this specific case, this is a really common sacrifice. The point is you can't take this, because if you take this, then there's problems with this move, and then after you take back, then there's this, and then you need to sacrifice your rook, because if you don't, then they will actually take this pawn. And if you take this rook, then you're gonna get absolutely annihilated. Let me tell you right now. You get destroyed. You will not just get annihilated. You get destroyed. Shredded open. But we're not going to see all that. So we have knight takes h7, queen h5. Okay, now black is completely winning. Why is white completely lost? Because knight fd8, it is one of the moves. Bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, queen takes e5, and queen f6. Queen trade, but it is promptly declined. Knight f3 takes f6, knight f3, and e5. Rook g3, no rook hang in shocking turn of events. Knight e6, and we have knight e4, f5. And as you can see, black is completely winning. That is, if you look at the material count, black is up a whole bishop. And the material count is actually a bishop for it is a bishop for a pawn, I think, which is uncomfortable. Knight c3, f4, rook g6, knight d4, knight takes e5. Doesn't matter that you lost the pawn because you got this, and then after this, then you're gonna go here. Danger levels. Actually, here you can do this, but you're just gonna lose a rook. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. After this move, as you can see, give away a lot of advantage. That's because of rook e8. And the whole point is you cannot save this knight because you could lose this rook. As you can see, the reason why you don't want to move you want to move this rook away is because, well, if you don't move this rook away, you're gonna die. So yeah, you're kind of forced to, do this now. So bishop takes d6 and knight takes d6. Here, and a couple moves later, we are going to have this jack. Sure, then we go here, we attack, and this nice little idea, and the game ends here because White resigns, and yeah, that was the elo of the players. I don't know why the guy was 1500. It's supposed to be 1700 and above, but I don't really care. I just want to see games. Let's go to the next one. Alright, and now we're approaching the final two games that I will show you. There were obviously more games than that, but I decided to pick out the most interesting ones to showcase. Here we go. We have an Italian again. Okay, another Italian with Knight of 6. Classic stuff. You've seen this before. All of this has been played before. There's literally nothing to talk about. But now we're gonna get on an aggressive game, which is something that we like in this channel. We like aggressive stuff. We like blood. We like fighting and shit. We like all of that. And eventually I'm gonna have to start like making videos about how to win a chess. Anyway, b4, bishop b7, b5. Okay, fantastic. All of this has also been played before. Knight a5, knight takes e5. This is a free pawn. You generally take sometimes. Queen d5, d4. And invites another trade. f6, knight f3. Queen takes b5, knight a3, and queen a4, queen f5 track, and king b8. And a couple moves later, we have knight c2, g6, and queen d3. Attacks the queen; it has to go away. Queen c4. You can trade. You can trade queens here, but doesn't quite benefit you. You wanna trade queens when you feel it, right? Because so far the position is like dead equal. We have queen d2 though, and that is a bit of a problem actually, because now he can actually get a little more active. But we have knight d5 instead, which is not a bad move at all. You try to win the pawn. Bishop b2. And obviously we're going to see a double up. No, we're not going to see a double up. We're actually going to see the sacrifice of... I'm sorry, what's I'm not a sacrifice. I meant to say capture of this bishop, but we're not going to see that. The reason this is so bad is because after takes, the queen takes the free pawn. And now black is equalized in material and is actually kind of winning here. And yeah, nice little threat here by the the white side, but there's rook d6. No, that wasn't the idea. You had to either play this or this, but actually, yeah, you had to play either of these two moves. But we have rook d6 instead. Oh my god, this is awful. It doesn't stop the queen from coming in, actually, because you know why? You can't take this. You cannot take this because it is made, so you need to block instead, and then, white has to retreat. Instead of that, this knight move just wins the rook and the queen. I mean, just wins the rook because the queen has to move. And then after that, then what do you play here? Oh, I mean, you could play this. You could play this because if they take you, they get mated, so they have to block, and then you get to trade queens most likely. That's not really what you want. So we have this queen b5, and knight goes here, and we try to threaten the mate. It is properly covered. We go here, and now this is where the game really gets ugly because of this move. You cannot take because you're pinned, but what about, I mean, not that move. What about this? sacrificing the knight, because if you take, then I will take your rook. And then takes. And then we'll be at this endgame where you've successfully equalized. And, but the bad thing about this is that black has the double pawns, which could be targets, considering the fact that white has an active rook, and black hasn't moved his rook yet. But black has more pawns and could use them for an advantage. But instead of all of this entire sequence, we have rook c5, knight b4, rook c4, and a6, and you had to go here because this would just punch you in the face. So instead, you're gonna have to lose this rook like that, like this. You decided to lose it. But now this rook gets a little active, and most people get scared when they see an active rook, and they try to panic. Sometimes they panic. Threatens some things, but it doesn't matter because black is just winning here because of the overwhelming lead in material. And actually here, that is where the mistake had happened. Black thought that he was going to win this race like this, and this, and you queen with check. But after takes, and here, you go rook f3. And you stop everything. And this is one of the reasons why double pawns are weaknesses, because you can't quite defend all of them. And here, actually, why black just decides to sacrifice the knight for absolute zero reason. And then the rest of the game was just a little bit of a cleanup. And for those that are wondering why the king was going back and forth like that, it is a Zugzwang. You really don't have any other move, because then you will just get destroyed. Now you're gonna say, isn't he destroyed already? Yeah, he is, but like, come on. And resigns one move before checkmate. Now let's go to the final game of... Oh, and for anyone wondering, that is their elos. Actually, my countryman lost this match, unfortunately, but it is fine. Doesn't matter. Let's go to the final game, which was bananas. Alright, so this game lasted 105 moves, which I'm gonna be honest with you, I could include this in a checkmate playlist, but I'm not. You know why? Because this game deserves to be with one of those. I would include it in the checkmate playlist. But man, does this game deserve the spotlight? And I will put it in the final chess game of today's video. Buckle up. We had a normal looking Spanish. You will see a lot of Ruy Lopez on the high elos. They mostly play a6 main lines. Bishop a4 and knight f6 here. This is... And we have the Mackenzie variation, essentially, doing this. And this is an aggressive variation that white can play. I haven't really studied too much Spanish theory, but whatever. We have d6 here. Takes. Oh, I'm sorry. Takes and b5 instead, which is mad. Because you can just take this, doesn't matter. And after it takes, and we have takes instead. I mean, Jensen likes this more to kind of make black to take, so you can get this nice little bonus time development. But no, if f takes g7, it's fine, whatever. Queen goes here, bishop b7, castle, bishop c5, and a couple moves later, we have the following position. And black covers. Knight d4, queen e7. Knight comes in, queen c5, queen trade. Okay, good. Knight e7 check. King goes here. And the knight goes here. And after a little bit of dancing around, we have this following position. Okay, so black is gonna go here, threaten a couple of things, and you gotta go here. Decides to take like this, and it is bad with this move. And after this move, then we have this nice little fork. And then instead of like taking right away, I mean, my God, Maievel crashed, I think. Okay, Maievel crashed. Anyway, rook g4 attacks, and we're gonna go here. And after this move, there's rook d3, bishop e3. The point of this is that it threatens a checkmate. It actually threatens a bunch of things, actually. And the move here is rook d1, saves everything. You gotta, unfortunately, give the spawn, but you fork, and you need to take this instead. Let's say you took this instead, then, I mean, you're still, like, winning. There's nothing here. But you're kind of poopy for doing that. So we're gonna take the bishop instead. After this move, we take the pawn, and we are just gonna quickly snap everything. You can see that the black could hold for a draw. This game, actually, when we're analyzing it live commentary, it was a draw. I'm not joking. It was literally zeros. And a couple of moves later, there's a couple of simplifications. The kind of material is a knight for 3 pawns. And suddenly, this looks like a dead draw. And after a couple of moves later, I wish I could analyze all these moves. We have something that we call the 50-move rule. Basically, if no pawn has been pushed or a capture has been made for 50 consecutive turns, moves, 100 turns, like if we take both colors, it is called a 50-move rule. Like 50 moves is like 1 move for white, 1 move for black, so it is 1 move in total. I guess you can say that the players make half a move. Anyway, basically, if no capture or pawn push has been made, the game will be made a draw. Now, in tournaments, you don't have to make a draw, but you can agree to your opponent with a draw, and then there's something called the 75-move rule, which, is a forced draw. Anyway, so let's begin. Now, black will try to make repetition, and at this point, actually, the player with the horse actually was really low on time. Anyway, so we have lots of maneuvering. It is just maneuver after maneuver. And as you can see, the game is really, really long. And a couple moves later, attacks. Knight b7, king e8, lots of shuffling around. I wish I could explain all of these moves, but it is just shuffling around, trying to find a draw, trying to find like a breaking point, trying to make the other guy run out of time. But it is time increment, it is impossible. And after this move, though, and this, we go here. And unfortunately, our friend blunders a discovered attack. And black resigned the game. Here. I have to say, that was really disappointing. Actually, 105 moves. Imagine being black in this position, playing a really fantastic game, and actually winning most of it. I mean, you were losing most of it, but eventually you managed to come back. Eventually, you also had the knight for 3 pawns, which is proven an advantage in the endgame, but the game was considered a draw by the engine, like 0.2, 0.3. And losing all the pawns. And then entering this really long and barbaric flag. This is what we call when you try to run your opponent's clock timeout. And then you could draw. You could just make a repetition. You could offer your opponent a draw. And most likely would accept because they had like really low time. But unfortunately, that is not what happens. And this is the final game I'm going to leave for today's video. I will upload this tomorrow. Because right now, I don't think I have the strength to do it. But if I upload this today, then, today. Oh, this video will come out on Monday. Literally, the moment when I try to wake up for school, I will upload this video. And yeah, that's that. So let's again, Red S&P coming back, more Liga chess tournaments, all that coming back, all that stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Anyway, let's go. I need to sleep. I have lots of work to do tomorrow. Good night to everyone. I'll see you guys next time.